Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. Oh my gosh, do I have a fun interview for you guys. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid growing up, there were just all sorts of good, wholesome groups around that, Osmond Brothers come to mind, the Jackson Five, the DeMarco family, the Partridge family. And speaking of the Partridge family, there was a real life group who backed that TV group or was the inspiration of it, the model for it. And that was a group called the Cowsills. And the Cowsills are a big part of the soundtrack of our youth, at least mine. I don't know how it was for you, but it was and is for mine. Songs like the theme from Love American Style and from Hair. Oh my gosh, all those songs and many others. They were all over the radio. Good, great family. There was a great documentary that come out about them a couple years ago. I've watched it several times. Absolutely love it. But as you can tell by from the backdrop of my screen here, that I got to talk to the family. At least I got to talk to Bob, Susan, and Paul. And boy, what a fun chat that was. Oh my gosh, it was so easy, so fun. We laughed, we cut up, we talked about a lot of great things. And I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. So without any further ado, here is my first interview with Bob, Susan, and Paul of the legendary group, the Cowsills. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Oh, and if you don't mind, would you please subscribe, hit the subscribe button of whatever you're watching or listening to on this, as well as share it with your friends. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all for two things. First of all, taking the time to meet with me. It's a big thrill for me because obviously I've listened to you since I was probably just a little bit younger than you guys were when you're recording all this stuff that you did, and I just turned 64 last month, and so kind of puts it in perspective. Yeah, all right. So, so we're all
Hey, Randy, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Randy, so when you turned 64, what was your first thought about being 64?
First thought was the Beatles song. I bought myself the mug.
That's pretty much mine too.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's what I'm talking about.
Isn't that bizarre?
That's what I'm talking about.
They literally set up a culture that, like, there's milestones with, there used to be tribal milestones for, your manhood, 12. No, we have a milestone known as we've finally got to the Paul McCartney When I'm 64 song.
That's right.
Literally, that's bizarre.
I do this little thing on my personal Facebook page where, everybody was doing selfies and I got a little tired of it. So I started taking pictures of my feet up on a post or up on a railing or something. And so now what I do is I do a picture of my feet. I live in the Smoky Mountains up just a couple miles up from Dollywood. And I'll have my bare feet up on a railing and a different coffee mug all the time. And so I bought a mug with the When I'm 64 with the lyrics on it and everything. And so on my birthday, I posted the picture of my feet, the mug, and then a piece about me turning 64. So it's you're right.
It's funny. For our generation, and probably just our generation, it's not going to last, but getting to 64 became a milestone because Paul McCartney said it should be.
There's no philosophical.
We're all going to be going, yeah, even Susan, and we did it to her.
Yeah, we do it. We did it all year on. Hey, has this started?
We're recording, but we'll edit it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, this is good stuff.
Yeah,
you should have it recording all the time. This is good stuff. Anywho, yeah.
Well, it's, I don't know about you guys, but I used to, especially when you guys first came out, I used to think old was when somebody could remember 20 years ago, and now it's like, crap, I remember being in grade school, in first grade, kindergarten, and that was way long ago,
No, here's the thing. When you're on the planet so long and literally you're saying all the time, oh, that was like 35 years ago. So anyway, it's like, what did I just say?
So, here's a good one too. when the Buffalo Springfield were out, okay, and having their hit records, they were a favorite band. And we were hanging on every word they were telling us and saying and guiding us. And they're the grown-ups in our life. Because I'm like, whatever, 17. But and then you find out that they're 21-year-olds. It's like you listen to the
Exactly.
21-year-olds. It's like, whatever.
Go ahead, Paulie.
And you know what the interesting thing is about it all? The way we're remembering and the way I just said, what was the first thing you thought about when you were turned 64? Okay, I mean, what a general statement, right? But then you answered exactly what it is. And for whatever reason, our generation, the music is dictating our memories, and it's dictating.
That's right.
It dictated everything,
That's
and
right.
still does.
That's
Still does.
right.
Crazy.
We're
Well, that's the
timestamping.
reason.
God.
That's the reason why I started Boomerocity. I'm in my 15th year doing it.
Wow.
Just a labor of love. I don't make, any money off of it to speak of. And to me, it's about our generation. It's about the songs that you guys put out and became the soundtrack of everybody's lives. You guys have your piece of real estate of that. And I mean, what is it that the kids today are listening to? They're not going to be having, when they turn 64, they probably won't be talking about that kind of stuff. They may be still playing Guitar Hero,
They
playing
won't
to
even
your music,
be able to find each other.
No. It's like
so
it's like
fractured.
this. It's like this. Like, okay, Beatles on Sullivan. And that was like a life changer. Now it's like, I think the happening thing was at halftime at the Super Bowl. Was that those people in those boxes? It's like you can't really and they were dancing good. Wait, was that a singer? Wait, it was the lady at the very top on the helicopter. Oh, is that her hit song? Oh, so that's the conversation. Not they're going to hear that song and go, oh my God, I kissed Freddie. They're going to be thinking about the lady who was on the helicopter on top of the thing at the dome at the halftime of the thing.
Yeah,
That's what I'm doing.
Exactly. I hope I can remember that. I've got so many questions I want to ask you.
Yeah,
They're all
carry
over
on.
the map. And please maybe give me a 5-minute signal or something when you guys need to run. But I want to try to cover everything I can. And one of them is the Sullivan Show. But first, in addition to thanking you for joining me, I want to thank you for all the years of great music and for being out there, for taking the hits just for our entertainment. I know I watched the documentary a few times, wrenched my soul every time I watched it, put a smile on my face, but then also it's just like, my God, what you guys endured, and nobody realized it at the time. And for you guys to put it out there, maybe it helps some other people, but one way or another, I want to thank you for all those years of entertainment, fun, putting a smile on our faces, even though you guys were maybe crying on the inside. So thank you.
Well, not when you were seeing us. I can tell you that. We were having the time of our lives when you were watching us.
Yeah.
For real. For real. That was
And
the
we
good
want to
stuff. Come
thank
on now.
we want to
Well,
thank and we want to thank you, during the time we're all doing that, for the support and
That's
believing in on our music and our little piece of real estate, as you put it, because you had to fight hard for your little piece of real estate back then because everyone was at it. So
Well, but look at it. I mean, you and your peers, you fought hard then and you still own it. I mean, how
That's
cool
pretty
is
cool.
that says something. That speaks volumes. So before we get into the history thing, I want to talk about this little Christmas EP of yours. What's the story behind it? I know it's a reissue of sorts. So you guys tell me what the story is behind it.
it's an interesting history. These songs, Christmas Time and Some Good Years, and we'll talk about Winter Wonderland, but these are in our history. There's the songs from our past in our history that have been with us in our satchel all along. But when Omnivore peeked into our satchel, our recording company, and they heard Christmas Time and they heard Some Good Years, these were new songs to them. So they reacted like, this is a top shelf Christmas song right here. We have here, and we're going like, oh, really? Okay, thank you. Well, that's very nice to know finally. And they got so excited. They almost put this out last year. We're going, whoa, slow down now, because Christmas carols are rare. And this has Christmas music and Christmas lyrics. And that's what makes it a little unique. And the reason we know it's Christmas music is because I wrote the melody on a piano in like 1979, and it
Wow.
stayed that way for 11 years. Um, because we tried to put lyrics to it. You couldn't put lyrics to it. Even Susan remembers the old lyrics that we tried to put to it. It
How
just didn't
special.
work. And so we gave up. I said, and then, so I decided, hey, Pipeline's an instrumental. This is an instrument. We wrote an instrumental. I wrote an instrumental melody. And at the time, our daughter was born and she was in trouble. So we just said, all right, song for Marissa, you get the melody. And then it had a title. And then years later, I was like in a heat wave and driving in California, and it dawned on me. I don't know why at that point it dawned on me that it was a Christmas melody. The
Wow.
melody was a Christmas melody. And then, my wife and I, Mary Jo, we did the lyrics in 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks, 11 years we couldn't do. We even gave it to another writer once, and I can't do anything with
I
this.
didn't know that.
And it became, yeah, it's a special song because of that, because it's Christmas music and Christmas lyrics. And honestly, in humble opinion, is that most of the Christmas songs that come pouring out of the radio are pop songs with Christmas words, and that's Christmassy. But A Christmas Carol, they all have Christmas music and Christmas lyrics. So Omnivore got excited. We got excited. Some Good Years is our New Year's song. Enough said on that. And Winter Wonderland, we did make an a cappella album that you will see from Omnivore eventually. We did all our old hits a cappella and a lot of our historic songs a cappella.
Fun.
And
Very
then we
fun.
said, hey, let's do a Christmas song. And so we threw out Winter Wonderland, and that's fun. Maybe we'll do that a cappella Christmas album someday.
What do you got,
All
Paul?
right, Paul, I'm done.
Well, the interesting thing about Christmas time is that we recorded this thing in Los Angeles, or in the Valley, and
Rumbo.
it was probably 100
Rumbo.
degrees out.
Oh, God.
And fortunately, so what we did was we decorated the whole inside of this studio, and then turned all the ACs up just as high as you could get it. And it was 100 degrees outside, but in there it felt just like Christmas.
It
And we
was
went all over the
Christmas
valley,
time.
and we found an actual Christmas tree that was in a planter. It was the only Christmas tree in all of the valley.
World.
We got that and then decorated that, and and made it very, very Christmassy inside the studio to achieve what we got, because it
The
was funny,
atmosphere.
though. It was really funny.
Hey,
Yes.
Is there video of that? Probably.
No, we never took.
Harry wasn't
Oh,
there.
man.
No,
Wow,
never
that's
took
a
a video.
shame.
it's
Did we
funny,
take
Randy.
cool.
pictures?
Well, back in those days, we were busy doing things and not
Yeah, you didn't
documenting
document.
everything.
Yeah. Oh,
We didn't have that brain set on for
wow.
to do that,
Okay.
but that would be because we brought in a nice little choir that was, of course, ourselves, but then we had Randall Kirsch and his wife Luann. We had Vicky and John, Vicky Peterson
Michael
and our
Steele
brother
was
John,
there.
and actually Michael Steele from the Bengals loved Christmas time and request, yeah, I want to be in that choir, that kind of thing. And so it's kind of a special thing. The way it all happened, it just happened over time, but some good things take a long time to happen. So we think we got one.
Has Christmas always been special to you guys, or were you guys too
Oh,
busy to
yeah.
really enjoy it over the years?
Well, look
It
at we
was
were
my
little
reason
kids
for
before.
living.
Yeah, and we were real little kids. I mean, Christmas really, when you're 10 and 12, and anything before that is really Christmas. And look at, we were just normal kids, before the music. Okay, and Christmas was high on our mom's list of
That is right.
activities that were really fun to do. And so she always made Christmas really special. You know what? It was really a big time, and plus all the kids, so it always looked like, whoa, a big jamboree just happened because each kid got a couple of things. Now it looks like 28 things. So
Yeah.
Christmas was huge to us.
Huge. In fact, my children, my two daughters, say that they bleed red and green.
That's a good one.
That's
And our mom instilled that in us. And she would use Christmas, and we all have this memory. There's 7 kids in the house. I can't imagine it, but there we were, right? And she'd make us get in the living room and get on a couch or on the floor, all of us. She'd darken it. It's in the evening. And she'd put Christmas music on the hi-fi, which was a square console thing. And we would lay there staring at that little red light at the bottom, listening to all these great Christmas carols that we all know and love. And that's how our mom
Perry
introduced us to
Como,
them.
Nat King Cole, Perry
All
Como,
of
yeah.
them.
all
Big,
those
yeah.
All
guys.
of them.
All
Yeah.
of them. And if
Yeah.
you laid
And they
close
yeah.
enough, if you laid close enough to the hi-fi, and we lived in the Northeast, it was warm. It was like a fireplace because I was the
Yeah.
littlest, so I was always right up, and the little
I
scratch
remember that.
green part, I could smell that. So yeah, we like
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah.
Thanks for asking.
There was the one where, like Paul said, there's 2 or 3 of everything. The Christmas year of the bicycles, none of
What's
us
insane?
because everyone got a bike. Then we walked in the living room, it looked like Schwinn's bike store. Yeah, and all the
Right.
bikes were lined up. Like, and Susan's little tricycle, she was in on it.
Tricycle and
that was
then
an
a
amazing
baby
year.
buggy. So I mean, there was like automotives in our living room. It was always a big.
It was
Yeah,
great.
I
It was
remember in the
huge.
So yes
documentary,
to
one
Christmas.
one of you siblings were riding. I remember the Swin Crate series with the the big back wheel and the real small front wheel, the chopper looking thing. I don't know
Mhm.
who it was
Yeah,
while
the
on there,
banana
but I
bike.
saw it a couple of times within the documentary. It was used that film was used a couple of times in the documentary. I just thought I remember those bikes. I wanted one of those so bad I could taste it.
Was the film that you saw of us as little people with this bike?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's my purple banana sweet. That's my bike. I
Ah,
got that.
okay.
Yeah, it's purple. It was a banana sweet. It was a Schwinn banana, the handlebars. It had
Yeah.
silver, sparkly like drum kit seat, and it had the bigger back. And that's mine. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Very cool. Nice.
Sorry guys, Bill Cowsill gave to Warren Zevon's children while I was gone for a weekend.
Oh gosh.
Well, how
It's just
dare
a little
you?
note to selves. I came home and because I had 2 bikes, and I'm like, "Where's my Schwinn?" And Bill goes,
Warren
"Crystal."
probably had a
I gave-
gun to Bill's head.
He probably did. This was a long time ago, but I was like, "Dude, you don't give a girl's bike away. I don't care how fortunate she is." Anyway, I digress.
So which of the songs are you hearing the most response from fans by? Is there one that everybody seems to kind of gravitate towards so far from what you're hearing?
In the whole catalog, you mean, or our
No,
old
on the Christmas
everything?
stuff.
Oh, the Christmas stuff.
Oh, well, it's brand new. So to feel the pulse yet is a little early on all this with December coming, but we are on it. We're doing a lot of radio, a lot of interviews. We have a show in Tomball, Texas, December 19th, a
Oh, yeah.
Christmas show,
Okay.
meaning we're going to add Christmas songs to our normal show, of course. But Christmas time is the big diamond nugget here.
Yeah,
Christmas
absolutely.
time, we're fortunate to how it evolved for us, and we're glad to have it. And we just hope everyone responds to it. We have big plans. We want to do it in Spanish. We want to do a Spanish version. So, and if Christmas carols, if this goes the normal path, this is the first year of Christmas time. They come every year. Now, next year we might be showing up with Christmas time in a Christmas album. You don't know yet.
Hello.
So there's all kinds of things for the future. Or we have Abby North, who's our publishing administrator, getting Christmas time, we're going to go shopping, get it into a movie, make it there's all kinds of things, that opportunities out there for us. And that's what we're excited about.
We're excited about everything. What do you got, Polly?
We are excited about everything. What I had for you was
Uh-oh.
fleeting. I don't know.
Fleeting?
I
I should have written it down.
I got a pen in my hand, gosh darn it. I got
Pen in
Randy,
pen.
just so you know,
Okay.
just so you know, it takes 3 of our brains to be one good,
Yeah,
really
we
good
are
brain. Okay,
a
so
three-headed beast.
Well, I need
go
2
this way,
other
we go that.
parts too, but I'm all by myself, so you're stuck with me on that one, man. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that makes being 3,
Hey, and
being the
one-
3 of us
one last-
makes go, Bob.
No, I'm going to finish the 3 of us, and then I'll say what I was going to say.
I forgot what I was going to say.
And I was going to say, and now Bob
Okay.
has forgotten, and I will have to take over everything. All right. I think another question is in order now.
Susan's always ready, always ready.
Always.
No, I did want to make one more point about Christmas time, because Christmas is all about family and all that business. And we do want everyone to know that our brother John is singing this with us.
Yeah.
these are from our history, right? And he's in our
That's
history.
correct.
So Christmas time, some years, he's with us on this, and it brought the family together for a while. He's been a Beach Boy for decades. And so that's the little twist to this kind of outing that's kind of family-ish and Christmassy to us in an extra way.
Right. And now that we got, this is what I was going to say, and now we put the Christmas time out, and but we know it's still going to take a couple of Christmases for this Christmas song to reach all the people we need to have hear it. So, it's going to be around for a while, and then, I guess we're going to do a Christmas album. We'll see.
Well, I'm glad to have brought you guys
Oh,
together
yeah.
so you can learn about that, Paul. So
I'm telling you, that's what's great.
And-
Hey, sometimes we'll start talking and we won't even know you're there anymore.
Yeah. No, sometimes
what?
we'll be doing a podcast and we'll be like, oh, we just had a meeting. We're sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
All
very
right.
cool. The reason why I put both album covers on here too is because I didn't get to talk to you when you released the album last year, Rhythm of the World. And tell me about that album. How did you guys put that together? How is that different from all the other work that you did as far as putting the album together and stuff like that? Just maybe a background to that album.
Well, Susan actually is the producer of the album, meaning that she produced the idea in our
I'm
heads.
the emotional producer.
The emotional producer, she kept telling all of us, even when Barry and Bill were still around, that we needed to do a last album. Each guy could, write a song, come on in, everybody will help that cat with his song, and then do that around and end up with an album. But then, like I did tell Randy before you guys came on, I said, well, we're kind of snow day people, where if we can put something off, we're going to do that. And, I think this had a little bit of that in it, whereas we kind of waited too long and then we lost Barry and Bill, and so now, that changes things a little bit. And
You
so
know
then we,
what? Never
What?
thought of it that way. Never thought of it that way. Because I'm like, whenever I'm telling, we do interviews and I'm telling this story and I'm thinking, well, no, why the heck? When I had this great idea, did we not pull the trigger because, hey, what
do
we
it
could put on for
tomorrow.
today.
yeah,
Classic
So.
Cowsill. Okay.
Yeah,
And then, but then you look at Susan. There's nothing going on. I don't even know if we had a functioning band when she first brought it up, because my reaction was like, why? But
You said that
then
a lot. You
but
said that a
years
lot.
go-
A lot.
years go by. We end up on a Happy Together tour, which means every summer, Susan, Paul, and I are at summer camp together for 3 months. And then just the universe starts feeding us this exciting life. And that tour was so great. And we started writing songs on the tour bus we'd never written as a threesome. And we found that as a threesome, the one brain thing kicked in. It was like, oh my gosh, this is going well. And then we end up with about 11 songs, 10 or 11 songs. And honestly, we do all believe this, that once you've written these songs and you've written your songs as fast as you can, you do want to get into the studio to record them and present them how they need to be presented, right? And we're very fortunate. Susan, again, is the catapult, because our executive producer is Rock Positano. He's the man historically who steps in at just the right time when all was going south, and through Susan contacted us and was a believer in us, is a believer in us, and funded Rhythm of the World for us, and took over after a Pledge Music campaign collapsed and went bankrupt. I mean, it was a nightmare. That would make a good documentary. But we
It
were
would.
rescued by Rock and got to
Miniseries.
make this album.
Wow.
And the difference in this album, it's funny, as we were just talking, I realized one big difference is that if we had done the album, and I can only surmise, or only think about it, but if Bill and Barry had been around, okay, then it would have been more to what Susan said, where each guy would have written a song and brought it in, okay, and it would have been each cat's thing and beautiful, and then the vibe from the family would be, well, what can we offer you about your song? Well, okay, so that didn't happen, and that could have been some hurdles to get over. But now it was just me, Bob, and Susan, and we're seeing each other, every day of every hour for all these summers. And so, and then we all wrote together. Okay. So I don't know if we would have, Bill, Barry, and Johnny, us, you would have written a song together. I
Well, it
don't
would have
know. Maybe,
been
huh?
it would have been a very different record. You just
Right.
described two different
So,
records.
yeah. So
Because we
you asked
really
about
became
what's the
like Cosmic
difference
Stills
is.
and Nash about the whole
Yeah.
record,
But
you know?
Right. Right.
acknowledging all that
Ooh.
difference, Rhythm of the World, you do find us artistically where we would have landed had we put 10 albums out. Now, we only did Cocaine Drain in the late 70s and Global in the late 90s, and now we have Rhythm of the World. But Rhythm of the World still is where we're supposed to be, even though we skipped the albums between Cocaine Drain and Global. Most acts are going to do 5 in the middle there, over 30 years, 40 years, you keep going, but we didn't. We'd wait till we wrote good songs, and then we went in and recorded them. And that happened 3 times as major events in our life. And Omnivore is going to be sharing all of these releases with you in the long run in terms of our relationship with them. They're not done at all. We have a long-term thing going on, and it's pretty cool.
Were there any surprises when you guys were putting that record together? It's like, after
Every day.
working so
Every
much, and
day.
all of a sudden it's like you expect maybe something to be kind of routine. Was there something that's like, holy crap, this is
No,
cool, or this is terrible, or what?
You use the word expect, and we didn't expect anything because, like, as we are snow day people, we're kind of knee jerk to life people also. So we're just like, we were born and raised to be ready to go on a mission at any moment, whatever the mission was. And I mean, ready to go. You didn't even know what you were doing, but you got your orders, you looked at it, and you executed the moment. And when we went in the studio after we accidentally wrote all these songs, well, we didn't have pre-production, sit down, tighten them up, get a producer, hammer them out in a shed, and then go in the studio. We wrote them. We went to the studio and we all sat down. I mean, we were there a week maybe or a few days, but it all just kind of organically poured out as it was happening.
Yeah.
So within that, when you go to reproduce them, like you want to play them on the road, when you go to touch them again, you're like, wow, man, this is like a moment in time that happened. I have to learn this song because we were just being them. That's my kind of POV of how it worked.
See what happened on a daily basis in the studio. We went in at 11 o'clock, and just a blank slate on whatever song we're working on, because you got in there and one part led to another, and one part led to another that you're coming off the top of your heads. And by 7 o'clock that night, because we're pacing ourselves, we didn't want to go nuts here. We stopped at 7 most evenings, and only at 7 o'clock did we learn that's what we were going to do today. And sometimes we blew ourselves away. Other days we're going, is this any good? I mean, it's a trip. Let me tell you, it's a trip. And not only is this any good, and you decide it is good, but then you got to have the day where you go, but is anybody else going to think it's good? It's a trip to make a record. But most of the times you're being yourself. You're not questioning anybody, each other, or any of it. You're moving down the recording of the song. You just start the song that day, and at 7 stop, and you're going to finish it. And you're creative enough, and there's so much creativity within the group, the band. The 7 of us did this alone with an engineer, basically. That kind of no record execs, no visitors, no nothing. We were there at Dockside, isolated on 12 acres. It was awesome.
Yep. That's what I was going to mention. I was going to mention that unlike most recording sessions by most people, not the heavy hitters, but us the lower fruit, we had nobody over our shoulder. Okay, Rock, we kept calling him, come on, man, we're recording. You've paid for all of this. Come on in here and let's do this. And he goes, no, you guys just handle it yourselves. So we were there. I mean, thank God we were a little older. Otherwise, we could have really screwed it up, being in the candy store, so to speak. But being that we were older, it's like, okay, guys, 7 to, 10 to 7 or whatever we were going to do, we're going to be normal here. And, and so, but there was
7.
nobody looking over our shoulders.
That's right. That's right. And really, I was kind of proud of us because the whole time you're riding the beast, you're wondering if you're going to get thrown off, if you're going to wrangle them all the way into the gate.
Right.
It's like coming in the home stretch. It's a trip. It is a
Yeah.
trip, and
And
yeah,
you're there at the basic, you are there at the basic moment of songwriting and song recording. We don't have a record company. We don't have anything. Okay. We have songs.
we have Stephen Wish.
We have songs. And we have the ability to record them and arrange them and have big vocals and stuff. So no one's thinking, oh, we're gonna have a hit record, we're gonna have a hit record. We gotta go get a record deal.
No.
We're just making the best song recordings as we can of the songs we wrote that summer. And yes,
Right on.
Susan mentioned Steve Nails. Stephen Wish Nails, they're the owners of Dockside. They opened their doors to us. You live there at the time. You eat there, you live the recording process. That's the other gift we got, was from
Yeah.
them to do it this way, in this location. Yeah, we didn't have visitors in the booth because no one's gonna fly there to visit us. It was perfect
We're out in the
terms
we're
of
out on the
artistic
river.
atmosphere.
Yeah, really amazing.
Yeah, it was great that way. So the equation's very long to what equals such a good recording as Rhythm of the World has been critically acclaimed, and people wrote to us that it was good in public even. So we're glad that it was received critically acclaimed, which is good. I mean, some people think that's a lousy thing because it means like, oh, you're critically acclaimed, but you're not number one on Billboard. And yeah, whatever on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we love what happened.
Well, as
Billboard.
a fan, I can say, and I've said this a handful of times to people. I've said it to Cosmo Clifford of Credence and others, that when you guys have come out with a new album like you did with Rhythm of the World, as a fan, I'm not a musician. I play a mean air guitar and that's about it. So I listen as a fan, not as a critical co-musician with you guys or somebody in
Wow.
that niche. I purely as a fan, but I hear those songs from that album and they're new and fresh, and yet at the same time they sound so classic. And to me, that is the makings of a phenomenal album. And that's what this album is to me, is because it just sounds so familiar, or sounded so familiar when I first heard it, that but yet it was brand new. And it's like, wow, it's like
That's
meeting
cool.
a friend and you felt like you've known each other forever and you just met, in a coffee shop or something, and that's how
Yeah.
that album seems to
Very
me.
touching.
So I love how you guys have done that.
Thank you.
I want to shift gears a little bit, if you don't mind, and talk about the documentary. I kind of referred to it when we were offline before we started the formal chat. And I think before you come on, Bob, and that, like I said, I've seen that documentary a few times, and me and my friends, we've talked about, what we got from it, the things we observed and everything. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that had to be both a cathartic and a very hard thing to put together from an emotional standpoint. Was it that, or tell me what all three of your thoughts are about the documentary that you put together?
Well, it took a while, okay, because and I'll let Bob tell you the story about how it was able to happen, but it was very difficult. We quit after about 3 years and just said, you know what, these people are nuts. And our friend Louise Palanker, who we love dearly, and she was the producer and the mastermind of this whole thing. Had a crew, and you can only hire who you think you might know. And this crew was looking for salaciousness with the father and with the kids. All this dark energy was happening, unbeknownst to us really at the time. And then me and Susan, we were in Newport, Rhode Island, and the people that were putting it together said, "Oh, you want to see some footage?" And me and Susan go, "What do you mean footage? We haven't done anything yet. How could there be footage?" Well, we got in there, and these guys had this whole weird thing going. They actually had the beginning of the movie with blood dripping down, and me and Susan
And a
are in with
trailer.
all these people, and we're just in this hotel room. And Susan looks at me and she goes, "Is this really it?" And I looked at her and I go, "No, this ain't really it." And we just said, "We're out of here." And then we went and got Bob, and we went, "Man, Bob, this is not happening." And we told him everything that was happening, and Bob goes, "Screw it, man, we're not doing it." And so we just shut it down. And then
They had-
about 2 or 3 years later, we thought about Louise more now than these crazy people she had hired. And we felt that we needed to finish this out, to the catharticness, Randy, of what you're talking about. Okay. We knew almost morally or ethically we needed to do this, but we had to have more control over this. And we did take more control over it. And what we got was incredible, and we didn't have control of how Louise put it together or any of that, but she did an incredible job. And she knew us and what we needed to have be on that screen. And it's hard enough putting all the crap on there instead of laying on the crap that's on top of the crap, because it just, we weren't there either. We weren't going to just just sell out on all that stuff, so.
And Louise was she knew that the first crew was the wrong crew. Okay. And that's what the whole combination said. All right, stop the press. But we didn't know that was going to last 2 years probably.
Yeah.
But eventually you sit with something unfinished. It does start gnawing at you. Like, we got to finish that. Then Now how it began was quickly. I was playing pubs for many years in the Valley, and I had a band night once a month at Fox and Hound. And this Louise came one night and said, "Hey, we'd like to do a look. We don't have a band. We don't have anything. Okay, I'm a pub singer. It's like not over, but it's what I'm doing now." So she goes, "We want to do a documentary. We want to know how you got on the Ed Sullivan Show." And I looked at her. I said, "Is that what you want to know?" Because I know the story, right? You don't know anything. So I said, "That's harmless enough." But I said no, and we're not interested because I'm just a pub singer and we're not communicating all the time, me and the family. But she comes back, and she comes back a third time. Then she comes back with 2 other people. But now I have the responsibility. All right, she's not going away. She's relentless. And I should run this by. I can't make decisions like this for the family. I mean, who am I? So I contacted everyone. Look, I got this girl. She won't let up, and she wants to do a documentary. And of what? Everyone say, of what? I don't know. Like, none of us got it really. We knew documentaries. You don't make money. You do if they become a CBS movie, and this could end up resulting in anything.
Mhm.
You never know. The shelf life of our documentary is surprising to all of us, but so was when it came out. And the 6-week deal that Louise made with Showtime turned into 2 years of every day, multiple times. Our documentary was shown literally every day for 2 years on Showtime. So it struck a nerve, is the sure truth of that.
Absolutely.
And it is still available. Look, we handed Bill Filipiak, he's an editor. There's a reason editors get awards. Susan will be back. She just got disconnected. But the editor, we handed him like 100 hours. Now, everyone knows you got an hour and a half you get, and that's long. That's all you're going to get out of that 100 hours. So his talent was finding the story that of all these hours that we handed him. He even said there's another documentary we could do that was left behind because of all the hours,
Wow.
and all the interviews. There's much that isn't seen, much.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a lot of. And so that was a very good editing job on Bill Filipiak's, and his talent was part of that also.
Yep.
Also that documentary, it also, because it really did get out there, much like we wish Rhythm of the World could be into so many people's ears.
Mhm.
Being on Showtime continuously, 2, 3, 4 times a day, boy, it really got out there. And we were able to increase what we had been struggling with, getting gigs. So, really these gigs, everything started coming a little easier, and things were happening that weren't happening. And it was all because of the documentary.
Mhm.
It really got us out there, man.
Yeah,
Well,
we
it
had.
was raw.
Yeah.
I mean, as a fan to watch it, I thought, oh my God. I mean, my heart broke for all you guys and all the different things that you were enduring, and the long lasting results of things. And
Sure.
Bob, I know one of the highlights of the whole thing for me, just being an interviewer myself, was your sit down with Shirley Jones. I thought, she's on my bucket list of people to interview, and I was just sitting there, just my mouth drooling that you were able to sit down with her. And it was, I was struck by how you were just I could just see, just emotionally and physically, you were leaning in because you really wanted to learn something about maybe
Well,
stuff you
how
didn't
many
already know, and that's what
right.
struck me.
How many years have all of us been asked about the Partridge Family? And and it's great because now, uh, they mentioned us, now we mentioned them. To have Shirley Jones be say yes to an interview like that, and I got to sit with her, go to her house, all
Mhm.
that. This is like not a bucket list thing because I don't have a bucket list. I don't do that. But it was I couldn't believe it. This is her. Now, and she got to tell us, it's not all in there, but she said she didn't know who we were at the time. But she goes down to the studio and with all the actors, with David and all the ones that are going to be the part, just they sit there, they play our music, they passed our picture around. Here's who you are. Here's what you're doing. Here's what this is all about. Because these kids, they're young. Not everyone knew of the Cowsills, and Shirley was coming from Broadway musical world, so that was understandable too. But we love Broadway musicals, so we kind of knew who she was.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're right. I was a little fanish, I thought, in the interview. I was a little bubbly, but it was Shirley
I
Jones,
can
and I
see
was
the
all
giddiness
excited.
there. Yeah.
I was all excited. I just couldn't believe it. And Marty, her husband, answers the door. He's in these blue jeans with just straps down, and he's got no shirt on. He goes, "Come on in." He's the kind of gruff and funny guy at the time. He's
Yeah.
not with us anymore, but yeah,
Right.
that was a big moment. And there's a lot more footage to that, of course, than was used. So we had a very good visit.
Let's see. I see Susan trying to come back in there. Um, I'm going to jump a little all over here because I all of a sudden maybe it's the Lacroix I'm drinking, but I feel a little ADD at the moment. But
Okay.
one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about is the song "Hair." I mean, back then I remember all of that on the radio as a kid, and the play at the time and all that. So, what was that song? Maybe a story or two about the song at that time, and then how are people referring to it today? Are they reaching out to you about that when you guys perform it? Is there a special reaction? Can you tell me a little bit about both sides of that?
Well, I can tell you that, hair, it's been with us forever. We are so grateful, and we can't even believe that we were able to land a song like Hair. I mean, Rain in the Park, that's just, incredible. But to have Hair at the very end of everything it was pretty super. I can tell you, I was a junior and then a senior in high school while that song was going on. And we'd get in our cars to go places, and man, it was just being played day after day. And as a little kid, I would just get in there and go, man, we got to get rid of that song. And I would turn that song off so quick and plug in my 8 cartridge, of Blind Faith or what have you. So,
Mhm.
but that song was rocking. But that song, I mean, if we ever did a show and we never didn't do Hair, people would think when we left the stage that we were using Hair as our encore. Okay, but we don't do encores. We've never done encores. So Hair always ends our show. No matter what kind of show we're doing, we're always going to do Hair because people love it, and it's a silly song, and it reminds everybody of how fun it was when that song was out in their lives. It really does. I just wanted to make this, but I wanted to digress a little bit just to that point. I do want to say that, about the documentary and the catharticness and all that. Well, just listen to Some Good Years, okay? And that's where we're at when we have to watch a documentary song, or when we hear about the documentary and you saying, "Oh wow, it was so hard." We're thinking Some Good Years in our head. That song is piped through us,
That's cool.
and that's where we're at with that. Okay, that's all I wanted to remember to say.
Now back with Hair. Um, that's a funny story, Paul, because I remember when it was number one. We lived here in Santa Monica, and I got to tell you, it's nothing like having a number one record on the radio when you're young. Okay, I'm like 19. I'm going, this is awesome. So
This is real.
now, how did that happen? So we're living in Santa Monica. We just got an album sent to us by Carl Reiner to go on a TV special and record the theme song of this album, which is called Hair. We hadn't heard of the musical or any of these songs or any of that. We're very sheltered in many ways. But when we hear the song, we think that's a fun song. And it was their version. And we had 2 days. We had to go on tour. It was going to be the summer of '68 Indian Lake tour. It's coming right at us. But at the end of that tour is the TV special we're doing with Carl Reiner in San Francisco, where it ends. So we got to get this song done before we leave for the road. So we got 2 days. We book it down on Fairfax. Our engineer is Angel. We just go in and we just do it. Mom's not even on it. We didn't bother her. This is like a homework assignment. He said, go record something you can lip sync to on the TV special. Well, that's a pretty easy assignment. And back then you had to lip sync. So, and you had to be good at it. So we went in, Paul, me, Bill, Barry, John, basically. Susan, we got there on the Emperor and Spaghetti, but she's not going to sit around all day watching us do this. This is like, we're
I'm riding
ready
my
for the road.
bike.
So we're
Yeah.
down there.
She's got
two
her
full,
purple
two
banana
full
bike.
days.
Before the fact.
Yeah. And we're recording the way we do. We're recording it the way we do. We get in there and we got some semblance of it, but we're going to play it ourselves. We haven't played on our own records in years. That took a little while. But by the end of the 2 days, we had what you hear. And it was a little piece of magic. We loved it. We sent it to MGM. They did not like it. They're on Indian Lake brain. Okay. This is like, whoa.
Yeah, big time.
Thank you. All right. So when we go on the tour and we're out there, WLS does an interview with us. We say, hey, we got a demo of our song. We think, here, this is really cool. And he plays it on WLS late at night when it's really reaching a lot of people. And he gets in trouble. It's unreleased material, but the switchboard lights up. They can't guess who it is. It sounds nothing like the Cowsills. And eventually the tour ends. We do the TV special, but we only taped the TV special in September. It's not going to be till May of '69 that this song isn't going to get out of that vault on Fairfax and get into the public and be released by MGM, because the special comes in May. And of course, now MGM is all on board. We're going to time the release of pair with the special. And it all happened. And it was a huge hit, our biggest.
What's the funniest story you have tied to that, though? Any fans come up today and say, go ahead, Susan.
Well, it's funny, not funny. As Bob said, I was pretty disassociated from hair, and I could have cared less what they were saying. And then I remember having to go in, and it was probably a weekend, and so whatever with that. And I also knew they didn't care about me, so it was kind of like, But anyway, so that was going on. And then okay, we're famous. It's all going on. We were doing a craft music hall at that time, a Christmas one with Jack Wilde, who was the kid who played the Artful Dodger in the movie Oliver. And we became friends. My dad was going to manage his brother's career. And anyway, long story short, they're spending the weekend, the Wildes, at our place in Santa Monica. And everybody but me are going to see Hair, the musical. Jack's going, Barry, John, Paul, everybody's going. And I'm like, and they've been spending the weekend and we've been doing everything together. And I'm like, Mom's like, you're not going to that. People will be naked. And I was like, well, I won't go into that. But I was like, I can't go. And I mean, I watched all these people march out a door, go down to, what was that, Aquarius Theater. And so that's my fun story about Hair.
Now the challenge. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was just going to say, funny stories. Well, back then, there aren't really no funny stories. Everything was pretty super duper and very professional and all that. But where the funny story comes in is now, because now me and Bob are in our 70s. Susan's getting into her late 60s. So really, the funny thing about Hair is that we don't have any.
Yeah.
And
I feel your pain.
Dude. And so it's
crazy. Hilarious on stage.
Yeah. So that's the funny part of it, is that we had a song that we never thought we'd be singing when we didn't have hair on our heads.
Well, Paul and I talked before the rest of you joined, and I want to get everybody's opinion on this now. Is your podcast, which obviously is near and dear to my heart. Are you guys having fun with it? It sure looks like fun. I know I'm having fun doing what I do, but you guys have got quite the catalog of podcasts here and talking to fun people. Bob Merlis, who is very instrumental, obviously, in getting us together on this call. Love Bob. He's always great to work with. But I saw others, Jim McCurdy from the Yardbirds. I got to talk with him a bit. And, you guys have done some pretty fun podcasts there. Tell me your thoughts about it.
I'd like to share mine first because they're coming to me as I'm sitting here. Yes, we love the podcast. The podcast is a blast, but it's like as you're talking about it, I'm thinking about us, and we like it because we're pretending to be people on TV and interviewing people. We're acting like we have a set and we have desks and we write things down. We're very important. And I know the three of us well enough. And not Barry and John used to talk all the time when they were younger. They were going to get a radio show because they were going to have their own show. So I just think we like it and we're good at it because of what I just said. It's making me laugh right now because look at us. We look like pros. This is our podcast setting. And so I just wanted to say that. Yeah, I love it. Go ahead, Paul.
And it's interesting too, is that, and I told you when they said podcast to us, we were just going, what, man? Me and Bob, we don't want to do a podcast. I mean, heck. But we got into it, and because we got to visit every week, because you have to do it like that. If you've got a weekly podcast, you better show up with one every week. And but it's just been too fun.
Yeah.
Too fun to do. And in fact, it's funny because we are snow day people. When Bob will go, okay, guys, we're going to do a podcast, man. When are we going to do it? Everybody give me a time, give a day, blah, blah, blah. And that is just like, oh, shoot, blah, 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 blah. We got to do this. But then once we're here, man, it's just like fun and just like being on TV, just like Susie says.
And also, and when they said weekly, after we've been doing this, we got like 116 episodes, weekly episodes. We really understand the people that do daily podcasts,
Respect.
God bless them. But we have created actually over our 150, we have quite the library, spoken in their own words of the historians of our genre and beyond. You know, we do other walks of life, of course, but we have the artists themselves, whether it's Pat Boone or Steve Van Zandt or any of them, or Paul Schaefer, or I could go on and on about the artists. It's
Pat
them
Boone and
telling their
Steve Van
story.
Zandt could do it
You know,
out
that's what.
together. Sorry.
Well, it's just great. We just love what we're developing, and the catalog of visits we have is quite historical, and we're really seeing that grow more and more as we continue down the podcast world. We love it.
It would be cool to get a picture because I'm thinking of Steven Van Zandt and Pat Boone doing a duo record. But wouldn't it be cool to get a picture of everybody that think about Bill Medley and Barry Williams. Okay, Greg Brady and you know,
Tommy James and Tommy Rowe.
Tommy James, Tommy Rowe. It's
anyway,
just crazy.
The answer, we love the podcast. We're in it for the long run. We're downloaded in 23 countries. We've had 140,000 downloads. And I know Adam Carolla's had 1 million downloads every day, but we live in I love your phrase, we have our special territory, even in the podcast world, where you can find us and we're constant, we're there, and we're bringing you more than you think, we think. So we're glad to be discovered continuously with that.
Yeah, as hosts.
As host, professional TV host at that, huh, Sue?
That's correct. I think personally, I'm just putting this out in the universe, it would be cool. We'd be the first late night or afternoon or morning. We're not picky. Actually, I'd rather not do morning at our age. But we'd be the first to have 3 hosts on a talk show.
That would be cool. I think you could do it. Why not?
I'm just saying.
Why not? But well, Matt, this has been a thrill and a blast. You've been on my radar for a long time to want to talk to, and I'm glad we finally get to do it. Thank Bob Merlis for making that happen.
Hey, Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to say that anytime you guys have anything at all, I mean, my reach isn't quite as big as yours, but hey, it all adds up, right? If I can ever be of service to you guys to set up one of these things and chat about it and, roll it out through my specific network, I'd be thrilled and honored to be able to do that.
Thank you so much.
Because Randy, you know what? Randy, the guy that's going to do the movie or the guy that's going to do a mini series on us is probably in your audience. So thank you for having us on because your audience is specific to you. Yep. So yeah, maybe that guy's out there.
Well, I do it for the love of, this is my 15th year doing it, and I'm approaching 500 interviews now and doing it. And I've got to talk to a lot of people, and I'm
Yeah,
working
yeah.
for more. We're looking at some new ways to get this out, and there'll be sound bites that we're selling and all that kind of stuff. And so hopefully we can kind of cross pollinate here and help each other out. But if there's
Oh.
ever anything I can do, Bob has my address, you, Bob, and Bob Merlis both. And you guys, please reach out to me. Whatever I can do to help, I want to do it. And I'd be honored to
Thank
be
you.
Also,
one of you.
you let us know when this is going to air, and on our social media, on our Facebook, we will shout that out. So let us know. And
Oh,
we're gonna
that
give
would
us
be
a link.
wonderful. That
Send
would
everyone
help us
to it.
both out then. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
look,
Yeah, yeah.
thanks a
Everybody's gonna
million
get-
for everything. Stay safe, stay healthy, and let's talk again next year when you guys have the next project out, or if not before. Okay.
All right, everybody go
sounds
get
good,
that
man.
digital download of Christmas time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So take care, y'all. Be safe.
Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
y'all. Bye.
See you later, alligator.